Have you ever heard of the game that whispers secrets of the past? Imagine a game that could connect you to wandering spirits trapped between worlds, revealing their untold stories and hidden mysteries. Picture yourself in a dimly lit library, where every shadow holds a secret and every corner hides a tale waiting to be uncovered. This is not just any game, it's a portal to the unknown, a bridge to the spectral realm. Are you ready to embark on a journey where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs? Join us as we delve into the enigmatic world of this haunting game, where the past and present collide in a dance of shadows and whispers. Some call it a harmless game, a simple pastime to pass the time. But for others, it has unleashed horrors beyond imagination. The whispers in the dark corners of the room, the shadows that move when no one is looking, and the eerie feeling of being watched. These are not just figments of the imagination, they are real, and they are waiting. The game begins, and with it, the line between reality and nightmare blurs. This is the story of Peter, George, Daisy, and Abby, 4 friends who dared to challenge the supernatural. They ventured into the heart of an ancient, abandoned library, rumored to be haunted by restless spirits. As they delved deeper into the darkened corridors, the air grew colder, and whispers of the past echoed around them. Each step they took was filled with trepidation, but their curiosity pushed them forward. Little did they know the horrors they would unleash would change their lives forever. What began as innocent fun became a night they would never forget.
Or survive. Or survive. The college library was old, a relic from another era. Students whispered, their voices barely audible over the soft hum of the fluorescent lights. Pages rustled as if the books themselves were alive, sharing secrets from the past.
I love the smell of old books. It's like stepping back in time.
Peter was searching for a book for his history project. The shelves seemed to stretch forever, an endless maze of knowledge and forgotten stories. He wandered deeper into the labyrinth of books, feeling the weight of history around him.
It's easy to get lost in here.
The book had no title. Its pages were yellowed with age. The leather cover was worn and cracked, hinting at the countless hands that had held it over the years. It seemed to whisper secrets of the past, waiting to be uncovered. The writing was in a language Peter didn't recognize. The characters were intricate and seemed almost alive, dancing across the pages in a mesmerizing pattern. He had never seen anything like it before. He carefully turned the brittle pages, each one threatening to crumble under his touch. The musty smell of old paper filled the air, adding to the sense of mystery. Strange symbols and diagrams filled the book. They were unlike anything Peter had ever seen, resembling a mix of ancient hieroglyphs and futuristic schematics. Peter found a folded page. He carefully unfolded it, revealing a hidden section that seemed to be a map or a guide of some sort. A childlike drawing of a cross was on it. Yes and no were written on it. The simplicity of the drawing contrasted sharply with the complexity of the text, adding another layer of intrigue to the mysterious book. Peter showed the book to his friend George. George was fascinated by the mysterious book.
"This looks familiar,"
he said, tapping the cross.
"It's a game."
A game?
Charlie, you ask questions and a spirit answers."
Daisy, another student, overheard them. Her eyes widened.
Do you think it works?
They gathered around the book, their faces illuminated by the dim light of the library. The air was thick with anticipation and a hint of fear. The library was silent except for their breathing and the occasional creak of the old wooden shelves. George, with a steady hand, placed 2 pencils on the cross, forming a makeshift planchette.
"Charlie, are you here? If you can hear us, give us a sign."
The pencils remained still, unmoving on the page. Disappointment filled the air, and a sense of doubt began to creep in. Just as they were about to give up, a gentle breeze rustled the pages of the book. It was the only book that moved, as if touched by an unseen hand. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding in their chests.
Was Charlie listening? Did we make contact?
I felt something, a presence. It was faint, but it was there. We need to try again, maybe ask another question.
Daisy, always the adventurous one, was intrigued by a mysterious new game she had heard about. She decided to invite everyone to her house that night to try it out. The invitations were sent out with a sense of excitement and curiosity. Her friends, equally intrigued, eagerly accepted the invitation, wondering what kind of adventure awaited them. At 11 p.m. they gathered around her dining table, the room dimly lit with a warm, inviting glow. The atmosphere was filled with anticipation as they took their seats, each one wondering what the night had in store for them. The table was laden with an assortment of snacks, from chips and dip to cookies and candies, ensuring no one would go hungry during their adventure. With snacks in hand and curiosity in their eyes, they were ready to embark on a night they would never forget.
Everyone, hold hands. No matter what happens, don't let go. Daisy, pass me 2 pencils. We need to stay focused and calm. This is important.
George balanced the pencils carefully on the table, ensuring they were perfectly aligned. The room was silent, the air thick with anticipation.
Charlie, are you here? If you are, give us a sign. We are ready to listen. Please, make your presence known.
At first there was silence. The room was thick with anticipation. George asked again, his voice barely a whisper. The pencils trembled and spun slightly, landing on yes. A collective gasp filled the room as everyone exchanged nervous glances, wondering what they had just summoned.
It worked! But what now? Do we ask another question or should we stop while we still can? The air felt electric, charged with both excitement and fear.
The air grew colder and the candles flickered. They felt a presence, unseen, but undeniably there. The room was filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional crackle of the candle flames. Each person around the table could feel the weight of the moment, the anticipation building with every passing second. The shadows seemed to dance on the walls, creating an atmosphere thick with tension and mystery.
Who are you? What do you want? The questions hung in the air, heavy with the hope of a response. The seriousness in their expressions showed their determination to uncover the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. They were ready to face whatever came next, driven by a need to understand the unknown.
George, I don't like this. Maybe we should stop. The anxiety was palpable, the fear of the unknown gripping them tightly. The dim candlelight only added to the sense of dread, casting long, ominous shadows that seemed to move with a life of their own. The unease in their voices was clear, a reflection of the growing tension in the room.
George hesitated, but his curiosity pushed him forward. He knew that stopping now would leave too many questions unanswered. The hesitant expression on his face showed his internal struggle, but the curiosity burning within him was too strong to ignore. He looked at the paper with a mix of fear and fascination, wondering what message it might reveal next.
We need to know. Tell us, why are you here? The urgency in his voice was unmistakable. Leaning forward over the table, he was determined to get answers. The flickering candlelight cast a glow on his face, highlighting the intensity of his expression. They were on the brink of a revelation, and he could feel it.
The pencils moved again, spelling out a chilling message. The room watched in silent anticipation as the pencil seemed to move on its own, guided by an unseen force. Each letter that appeared on the paper sent shivers down their spines, the reality of the situation becoming more and more undeniable. The message was clear, and it was something they couldn't ignore.
George, look! It says help. The word on the paper was simple, yet it carried a weight that was almost unbearable. The plea for help was a stark reminder of the presence they were communicating with. It was a call for assistance, a cry from the unknown that demanded their attention. The gravity of the situation was sinking in, and they knew they had to respond.
And with that, the room fell into an uneasy silence, each of them grappling with the reality of their situation. The flickering candles cast a dim light on their anxious faces, each person lost in their thoughts. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken fears and questions. They were at a crossroads, faced with a decision that could change everything. The reality of their situation was undeniable, and the weight of it pressed down on them, leaving them to wonder what their next move should be.
Abby stood in the center of the room, her eyes gleaming with defiance. She mocked the group with a chilling laugh, her voice echoing in the dimly lit space. The circle, meticulously drawn with salt, was meant to protect them, but Abby had other plans. With a swift kick, she broke the circle, sending grains of salt scattering across the floor. Instantly the atmosphere changed. Shadows began to move unnaturally, creeping along the walls as if they had a life of their own. The group watched in horror, their faces pale and eyes wide with fear. The flickering candlelight cast eerie shapes, adding to the growing sense of dread. Abby's expression remained defiant, a stark contrast to the terror around her. A gust of wind blew through the room, extinguishing the candles and plunging them into darkness. The room was now a battleground of light and shadow, and Abby was at the center of it all. Moments later, Peter's body began to tremble unnaturally, his eyes turning white. It was as if an unseen force had taken hold of him, causing his entire being to convulse with an intensity that was both terrifying and mesmerizing. His hands, once steady and strong, now shook uncontrollably, betraying the fear that gripped his heart. The room around him seemed to darken, shadows creeping in from every corner as if the very air was thickening with a palpable sense of dread. Peter's transformation was not just physical. It was as though his very essence was being altered, reshaped by some unknown power. His eyes, now devoid of their usual warmth and color, stared blankly ahead, reflecting a void that seemed to consume everything in its path. This was the beginning of a change that would forever alter his destiny.
Abby, my sweetheart, I've returned for you. Do you remember the promises we made under the moonlight? The nights we spent whispering secrets? I have come back from the depths of darkness, from the abyss, just to be with you again. You cannot escape me, Abby. Our bond is eternal, forged in the fires of our past. Embrace the shadows, for they are now a part of you, just as I am.
This can't be happening. Please stop it now, Peter.
Peter's body contorted, his laughter echoing unnaturally. The room was filled with an eerie, bone-chilling atmosphere. Shadows danced on the walls, creating grotesque shapes that seemed to move with a life of their own. The air was thick with a sense of impending doom, making it hard to breathe. Peter's eyes, wide and unblinking, stared into the void as if he was seeing something beyond the physical realm. His laughter, a twisted symphony of madness, reverberated through the room, sending shivers down the spine of anyone who heard it. Abby screamed as he lunged toward her, his movements unnaturally fast and jerky. Her heart pounded in her chest, each beat a deafening drum in her ears. She tried to back away, but her legs felt like lead, refusing to obey her desperate commands. The room seemed to close in around her, the walls pressing in, suffocating her with their oppressive presence. She could see the madness in Peter's eyes, a wild, uncontrollable frenzy that promised nothing but pain and suffering. Her scream echoed through the room, a piercing cry of pure terror that seemed to hang in the air, frozen in time, dragging her into the storeroom. The darkness swallowed them, a void of nothingness that seemed to stretch on forever. Abby's mind raced, trying to make sense of the chaos, but it was like trying to grasp smoke. She could feel Peter's grip tightening, his fingers digging into her flesh with a painful intensity. The storeroom was cold and damp, the air thick with the scent of mold and decay. She struggled against him, but it was like fighting against a force of nature, unstoppable and relentless. The door slammed shut behind them, sealing her fate in the darkness.
We need to get help. Quickly, or they won't survive. The situation is dire, and every second counts. The person on the other end of the line must understand the urgency. As the phone rings, there's a palpable tension in the air. Finally, the call connects, and a calm voice answers. Emergency services, how can I assist you? The caller, with a voice trembling with fear, explains the critical condition. The operator, trained for such moments, swiftly gathers the necessary information. Meanwhile, an ambulance is dispatched, weaving through traffic with sirens blaring. The paramedics inside are prepared for the worst, their faces set with determination. They know that their swift response can make the difference between life and death. As they arrive at the scene, they rush out, stretcher in hand, ready to provide the urgent care needed. Time is of the essence.
Daisy and George rushed to the church for protection. The ancient building stood as a beacon of hope and sanctuary amidst the chaos that had engulfed their lives. The air inside was thick with the scent of incense, and the soft glow of candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls. They could hear the faint echoes of hymns sung by the choir, a soothing contrast to the turmoil outside. Armed with holy water and crosses, They sought the priest's blessing, hoping to fortify themselves against the malevolent force that had taken hold of Daisy's home. The priest, a kind and wise old man, listened intently to their plight and offered words of comfort and strength. He handed them a vial of blessed water and a small, intricately carved cross, symbols of their faith and protection. With renewed determination and a sense of divine support, Daisy and George left the church, ready to face the terror that awaited them. The journey back to Daisy's home felt different now, filled with a newfound courage and the promise of victory over the darkness. But it was too late. Abby and Peter's twisted bodies lay lifeless in the storeroom. The horror had claimed them both. The once vibrant and lively couple, known for their infectious laughter and boundless energy, were now reduced to mere shadows of their former selves. The storeroom, which had once been a place of storage and utility, now stood as a grim reminder of the unspeakable terror that had unfolded within its walls. The air was thick with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional creak of the old wooden beams. The dim light from a single flickering bulb cast long, haunting shadows that danced across the room, adding to the sense of dread that permeated the space. As the reality of the situation began to sink in, it became clear that the horror that had claimed Abby and Peter was far from over. The storeroom was now a place of death, and its dark secrets were yet to be fully uncovered.
Have you ever stumbled upon a secret so dark it changes everything you thought you knew? Today, I'm taking you on a journey through Daisy's haunting revelation. Picture this: Daisy, an ordinary girl with a hidden burden, setting the stage for game night. But this isn't your usual friendly gathering. Dim lights, flickering candles, and an air thick with suspense. The questions intensify, secrets unravel, and then the truth hits like a thunderbolt. We rewind to the library where Daisy discovered her brother Steve's diary. Ambient whispers fill the air as she reads about his betrayal by Ruby, his so-called friend. Ruby's actions drove Steve into despair, leading to a tragic end. Daisy's heart shatters as she vows to avenge him. Fast forward to game night. Every move Daisy makes is calculated, every question a step closer to her goal. And then, the possession scene. The room distorts, sharp violins screech, and echoing screams fill the air. Daisy's plan reaches its climax. Now, in the serene church, we see a contrast. Holy visuals, serene choir music, a stark difference to the chaos that unfolded. This is where Daisy hoped to find redemption. She tearfully whispers, "I did what you wanted, brother. I hope you've found peace now." In the end, Daisy's revenge freed her brother's spirit, but at a terrible cost, her own soul. The soft piano plays a haunting tune as we witness flashbacks of Daisy's journey, the dark secret revealed, leaving us to ponder, was it worth it? Thank you for joining me in unraveling Daisy's dark secret. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales that chill to the bone. Until next time, stay curious.